sometimes the people who are hands-on in your salon sometimes know what's best or have a different perspective that you should consider when thinking about how you want to run your salon. Hanging out with me today is Blanca. Hi, Blanca. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being on with me today. I invited Blanca onto the podcast because I wanted to get a perspective of a stylist. So, Blanca, you've been a stylist for 9 years, you said?
Yes, I've been in the industry for 11, but I've been at my salon for about 9.5.
Wow. And so you're on the leadership team. So tell me a little bit about you. So and like what has your last 9 years been like?
My gosh. What's crazy it doesn't feel like it's been 9 years. It it truly, like, when people say, when you love your job, you don't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly feels that way. Like, I think about it sometimes, like when I'm talking to my clients and they ask, "Oh, how long have you been doing hair at your salon?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, like, been in the industry for 11. I've been here for 9." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I've actually been here that long." Like, it just, so much has happened. Like, I always say that I grew up at my salon because I was
Mm.
20 when I started. I was just, barely fresh out of cosmetology school, like just really young. And to see, like, where the last 9.5, close to 10 years has taken me, it's like, oh my gosh, if my 20-year-old self saw who I am today, she'd be like, what in the world? Like,
Aw.
super crazy.
Oh, I love that. No, yeah, like
Yeah.
9 years, man. That's like I honestly haven't met a lot of stylists who've been with their salon for that long a period of time. So what would you say has been like the biggest reasons, like that you could talk through your mind of why you've stayed at one salon for so long?
Um, I would say, I mean, one, culture is such a huge part of why I have stayed. And of course, we're a very goal oriented salon for
Mhm.
sure. So, and that's something that really drives me and really motivates me. But
Yeah.
the way that my salon owners have taken care of us as a staff, like, they truly they truly care about us, and they want us. They're not only concerned with our success, like, behind the chair, they're also concerned about, like, they want to make sure that we're creating the life that we want for ourselves. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons, is that they don't just care about numbers, like, they care about us as
Mhm.
people too.
Wow, that's huge. So if you're listening, you're like,
Yeah.
how do I have retention? That right there. That's how you keep retention. So if are you like, is most of the people who work at your salon like, I guess how many people work at your salon in total?
Oh my gosh. So we have had a pretty big influx of new hires. So
Mm.
if I had, I would say within the last, like, few weeks. So I would say we're probably at about 25, maybe 26.
Okay, okay. And how
Yeah.
many of those 26 people that how many of them have worked there quite a long time?
Let's see. We just had 5 years plus, we have six.
Wow.
And then everybody else is within that, like, right under that, we have a good group of people who are at about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we've got quite a few girls that are brand new with us. So
Yeah.
I'd say probably around, let's say, like, 10 have been there for a good chunk of time.
Wow, that's so cool. So you told me you're on the leadership team in your salon.
Mhm.
So what's like some of your responsibilities? Like as like logistically, like what do you take care of as one of the leads? Like is there multiple of you or are you the lead of the salon?
No, we have multiple on our leadership team. Our leadership team consists of six of us.
Okay, so six
So
of you.
each of us have different areas that we take care of.
Oh, that's
So
huge.
yeah, so it's not like one of us take care of, like, a multitude of things. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, we have two that are responsible for education. We have two that are responsible for front desk. And then the other two of us take care of, like, stylist growth and PDMs.
Wow.
So it allows us to really, like, be able to invest our energy into
Mm.
like, one specific area, so we can perform at our best in that area.
Wow. And do you
Yeah.
believe that model like has helped like from before there's leadership team to now? What has it been? What has that growth been like?
Yeah, so I mean, there was a point in our leadership team where myself and one other person were, or there, I should say, there was a smaller group of us that were taking on multiple duties as part of leadership team,
Mhm.
which it was fine, but we now being able to, like, delegate more to more people, it not only takes a larger load off of our salon owner's plate, but like I said, it allows us to really put our focus and our energy into a specific department so that way that can run as best as possible.
Wow. So you said that you do PDMs and
Hmm.
staff growth. So tell me about
Hmm.
that. So you take over all one-on-one meetings with so PDMs, if you don't know what PDM stand for, it's personal development meetings with your
Hmm.
staff. So it's like your one-on-one meetings. So you take over, you run all of those for the
No,
owner?
myself and one of my other leadership team members, the two of us take care of that together.
Wow.
So yeah, we meet with like we each have our own like separate teams,
Yeah.
and we meet with those girls once a month, typically at the beginning of the month for about 30 to 45 minutes just to go over, how did the previous month go. We go over their goals, and one of the big focuses for us too, just same as our ownership, is yes, we want, of course, want you to be successful in your career and successful behind the chair, but like, how can we make you successful here so you can have the things you want?
Wow.
So, like, I've got girls who want to, buy new cars, who want to move out of their parents' house, things like that. And it's like, okay, what do we need to do here so you can have that?
Yeah.
So you can do all of the things that you want to do.
Oh, I love that approach. So how does that connect then to the owner? So you guys take over all the one-on-ones, and so then do
Mhm.
you connect with your owner about them, or do you just handle it and you stay on top of that? Like, how does that communication then communicate to the owner?
So we stay on top of, scheduling the meetings, facilitating them, helping them track their numbers and everything. And then once a month, we do have a full-on leadership team meeting. So then in that in that meeting, we're able to give updates of, okay, this is where this person's at. This is, this person's set to qualify. This person's going to level jump, like that kind of stuff. So they are updated monthly on how each of those team members are doing.
Wow, that's so cool. So
Yeah.
what is your level of influence? So since you're getting to know them and you're like, so what do you like culture-wise, what is your level of influence of what you guys do as a salon and the culture and like how you guys operate together since you're spending those time with the stylist? What's the level of influence that you have over that?
Yes, they are always like open to ideas for contests, promotions, things like that. Anything that's going to help to motivate the staff to want to grow even further, especially if it's
Yeah.
an area that maybe um, certain ones are struggling. Generally, if one's struggling in a certain area, there are multiples that
Yeah.
are as well. So it's um, finding a way to get them all excited about wanting to grow in that area. And we typically will rotate contests based off of like pre-booking, retail, additional services. We'll kind of rotate those throughout the year.
Yeah.
And it's fun to have a little like friendly competition with each other too. Sometimes we do it where the girls will work in pairs, where we'll pair someone who's maybe struggling in a certain area with someone who does really well in that area. So that way they're able
Mm.
to help motivate each other and hold each other accountable as well.
Wow, that's cute. I love that. How do you juggle that? Like, how do you juggle the balance between, because you work, how many hours behind the chair do you work?
I work 30 hours behind the chair.
Okay. So then do you like work the other 10 as a leader or like how do you juggle? I mean, how do you balance them both?
So our full time is considered 30 hours. So
Okay.
if I choose to work additional, that's totally fine. So usually what I'll do is when I schedule those one-on-one meetings, I personally prefer to have them outside of my time behind the chair, so that way my sole focus can be just on that. Whether I choose to do that at the beginning of my day or if I choose to end my day with that. Um, I try not to like book them in between my time with my guests because my guests deserve my full attention, and then
Mm.
my team also deserves my full attention too. So um, we've tried it that way before, and it doesn't work out very well. So I typically will, because my team members that I have, not necessarily all of them work the same day.
Mm.
So I'll usually, like the first Tuesday and Wednesday of the month, I'll
Mhm.
stay a little bit after my time behind the chair to facilitate PDMs.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest impact that you've seen in having like that one-on-one support with your team and be able to have people who are their job is designated to support the team? Like what impact has that had on your culture?
I think it helps with rapport because you meet with them so like intimately once a month and, on a regular basis that like you're like, what they're working towards.
Mm.
So even that changes like the level of conversation, like even when we're not in those meetings, like even if we're just seeing each other on the salon floor, because we're able to even just have that time to like check in really quick, like, hey, how is it going with fill in the blank, like whatever you talked about. I think it really just helps to build a lot more relationship and trust with them, because you do know behind the scenes, like, yeah, right now they're, working on whatever guest, but that guest helps them get to the bigger goal.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. Just being able to know, yeah, like the ins and outs of what they're doing. I bet they feel so supported and are able to
Mm-hmm.
get bigger results and have like and ask questions and things like that. I love what you said earlier about pairing them up with people who are more experienced in that area, and they can kind of like bounce ideas off each other, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. We all have things that we're better at, and based off our personality, all that stuff, training. So, how does personal development function in your salon? Like, how much do you guys promote personal development in your guys' team?
So, of course, there's a lot of us on leadership team. We are part of the lead program through high performance. So a lot of us get personal development on a very regular basis.
Yeah.
We do like things that we learn through high performance. We try to incorporate like into our staff meetings, even into those personal development meetings that we have one-on-one with them.
Yeah.
Just different things that we've taken away, we try to incorporate into that meeting as well. And usually those end up as part of like their committed actions, things that we've brought to them. Even with like our morning huddles, like we try to incorporate some kind of either like maybe a more like thought-provoking question, an activity, something like that we can do in a shorter amount of time to like start our day off with some kind of personal development as well.
I
So
love that.
sprinkles here and there.
Yeah, yeah. So what has been like in having the personal, like what has been the value of constantly evolving and learning yourself personally and your skill set as a lead?
I would say it's truly like shifted the way that I think. And whether it comes down to like setting goals for myself, how to create that relationship and trust with my team as well, and just even building like confidence in myself as a person, and like knowing, okay, I have all of these things inside, and really like allowing myself to believe like, yeah, no, you are capable of doing that and you are doing it. Shifting how I think about myself to know like
Yeah.
you have all of these gifts and these things that you can offer to people, like just do it.
Yeah.
You've got it.
Just get
So
out of your own way.
get out of your own way.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that. Because I've gotten to know you for the last couple of, you've been around the academy longer than I've been around in this job. And so I've gotten to know you and just seen you blossom even with at the academy and up on our stages and things like that. And it's so cool that like the driving force of personal development, like we're huge. If you've been around us, if you're listening to this and you've been around us at all, you know that personal development is huge in our world, because we know that your business can only grow as far as you are willing to grow as a person. And so we put a big emphasis on personal development and growing constantly. And it's amazing what happens when you focus on that and you grow personally. Then in that growth of yourself personally, it bleeds out into everybody else around you. You become a better person, more fun to be around, and you take a different mindset of personal development and you start growing those around you with that mindset. And then it's contagious, and people are like, I want some of that too. Like, man, like, we are not the same person we were a year ago. And there's a quote that I said, I think I've already said this before on here, but there's a quote that I heard that says, don't be so afraid of what you did yesterday. Focus more on who you're going to be tomorrow. And I think that really stuck with me, because it helps me focus on being like not getting so bogged down, like, oh man, I should have done this or I should have changed that, but focusing on tomorrow and like, oh man, okay, how am I gonna do it different next time? Which I love that. So it's been cool to be a part of your journey too. So we're gonna take a little commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit more logistically about like hiring and all that stuff and how you guys kind of handle those things. So stick around. We're gonna talk more about Blanca and her salon when we come back.
Hey HPSA listeners, let me ask you this. Are you tired of not knowing what your hair color is costing you on every appointment and watching it chew up your profit? Well, with Salon Scale, we take the guesswork out for you. Using a mobile app paired with a Bluetooth scale, Salon Scale will tell you exactly what your color is costing you on every bowl mix down to the gram. As you mix, Salon Scale will also digitally store your formulas and track how much product is being used in real time, so you can manage your inventory, cover your expenses, and generate more profit in your salon. Use promo code HPSA10 to get 10% off an annual subscription. Salon Scale, the new standard for mixing color.
We're Phorest, born on the salon floor and built for and by hair and beauty professionals like you. Phorest is your marketing, your reporting, your reputation management. You need one easy-to-use system that does it all. Phorest, together we grow.
Sustain Beauty Co. has two of the best tools to help you save water, time, and a bunch of money. Join the clean water salon movement with EcoHead's water-saving shampoo nozzles and scrummy plant-based microfiber towels. Available at sustainbeauty.co.
Welcome back to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. I am hanging out with Blanca. She is a 9-year stylist, 11 years in the industry, and we've been talking about her experience being a stylist in a salon for that long period of time. She's on the leadership team. We are through the eyes of a stylist, just thinking of what is the perspective of somebody whose hands are in it and working on it. And it's been really fun. It's been really fun getting to know just your experience through that. I would love to know what is like the difference between like your owner asking you like to do something versus you like being able to take initiative and just like own the job? Like what's the balance there? Like how hands-on is the owner with you and helping you lead, or is she kind of more hands-off and you've owned it?
There's a little bit of both in those aspects. It's, it starts out with a little tap on the shoulder, like, hey, I think you'd be really good at this. Yeah. And I'd like to see you take this over. And then eventually has developed into, okay, like you mentioned, like we're around the staff a lot more because we work together side by side, 30 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So starting to see, and, within meeting with those team members one-on-one every month, it's we start to see like what the need is and where things can be improved. And so then going forward, say, because even in those leadership team meetings, when we do give updates, that's also our time to bring things up of, hey, I think this would be a really great idea to fill insert need here. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you this about my salon owners is if we have an idea that will help take an additional thing off of their plate, they are all about it. So wow. They're very open to ideas. And if you give an idea and they're, here, run with it, do whatever you think, like, I fully trust you, cool. But they also will say, like, they're also open to, I think this idea is really great. Like, let's take it one step further and just tweak it a little bit so we can make it better. Mm. But 9 times out of 10, it's, hey, if it's going to work and it's something that you can take on yourself, go for it.
I love that. I love the trust, like you said, like, yeah, they trust you, and finding people on your leadership team who you trust is one very, very, very important. And I mean, that feels like a given, but like just be able to cultivate that. And not only that, but they trust. And then you said something very interesting where you said, like, they said, you bring an idea to them and they're like, yeah, run with that. I think that's such an important quality as you are a salon owner looking like, hey, I want to build my leadership team. I want to make my leadership team better. The amount of times that you can look at it and be like, yeah, let them run with that, and then provide some guidance, or be like, the more wins that they can personally have of things that they've personally owned, the more they're going to grow and the more they're going to expand their own creativity, and then get to a place where they're, yeah, like Blanca said, she's taking stuff off of their plates. Like, hey, I have this idea of doing something. They're like, yeah, that takes off my plate. Go for it. And build that relationship, because like, Blanca, you've created a whole like career out of this. Like, I mean, you just hit we did an award in our July destination training where we did 100K stylists for the first time this year. And Blanca, you walked across the stage and you got that this year. You hit $100,000. And that's huge. Like 9 years and you're making $100,000. That's not a lot of people can say that. That's really big. What has been like the biggest thing that contributed to you getting there?
So, I mean, definitely support, like, from my owners, of course. I'm also a very, it's so funny, like, I'm in a really creative industry, but like, I tend to be very, like, numbers driven. Yeah. And so, when I see, okay, like even looking back at like my growth from when I first started at my salon, I've looked and seen, okay, where, like, how have I increased every year? And okay, next year, how can I do that even more?
Wow.
And I mean, in our industry, which, you know, High Performance's mission is to elevate the way that people view our industry. And it's not heard of very often that you can make six figures. It is more now, but you know, 9, 10 years ago when I started, it was not really a thing.
Yeah.
And so it's one, for my own self, it was like, I want to be able to say that I did this, but it's also like, let's go prove people wrong that this industry, like, you can be extremely successful in this industry.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really cool. So you wanted to see the biggest motivation is like, I'm prove people wrong and I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna get that. And you did. I remember
Yeah.
because I remember hearing like you heard that we announced it in March, that we were gonna be doing that and you're like, I'm gonna get that. And so like
Yeah.
you because like that's cool to be that motivated and want it for yourself. And I know someone said, can't remember who had on the podcast was saying like, if I knew it's possible, then it helped me, you know, like if I just see in other people like this is something that's possible. And then like if you have a team and if you have people on your staff who are making that much, or if you don't, even them just knowing that that's possible, that people can make that much is huge. Because if you know it's possible for yourself, you know, like if they can do it, I can do it too. And I mean personally, like if I have a fear about something, but I see somebody else do it, I'm like, okay, well, if they survived it, I could do it too. Like when I went skydiving, I didn't go first, but I saw somebody else do it. I'm like, okay, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And it's like that whole thing of you see other people going for it, and there's people who are the leader, like I'm going to do it first. And there's people like, okay, I see it, I'm going to go for it. And having that balance is really huge. So I'd love to ask, like, so that's your experience in becoming that. What would you say to other salon owners listening? Like, how can they cultivate that kind of environment, or to help their stylists reach the same thing, like become 100K or six-figure earners?
Maybe that person's goal isn't necessarily like, I have to earn six figures, but like looking at them or asking them, well, okay, tell me what are some things that you want out of life, and like asking them like, how could achieving this get you to where you want to be? Whether it's, you know, what are the goals that you have? What are the goals in life that you have that maybe earning this could get you to?
Yeah.
And you know, what opportunities could that open for you as well? But I think, and you mentioned it, you know, a few minutes ago, like just being able to show their staff like it is possible, especially if it's happening already, like within their company, and especially like newer stylists too, thinking like, oh my gosh, that seems so big. That seems like such a big number. But if it's within their company already, they can see it firsthand, like it's possible. And I would say even if you have a stylist that's already hitting that, talk to them about mentoring those newer stylists or stylists that want to be in that position that your team member is in. Like, how can their support to those team members that want to be in that same position, like how can they support them in that area to help them achieve that too?
For sure. I love when you said, you were talking earlier about how you like run your PDMs. And you were saying like how like learning what they want in life. And I think if you like, it's not just about the number, like, yeah, people want a lot of money, but going deeper than that, like just reiterating what you were saying, is going deeper than the money that people want to make. And what kind of life do you want? What kind of things? It could be a car, it could be a house. Like I know for me, a big goal of mine is to buy my own home. And so I'm motivated, like, yeah, I know how much money I need for a home and all that stuff, but just knowing like I have bigger goals that are past the dollar amount in my bank account. And I'm pushing towards that. Like I have, and you come up with your why. Like mine is, I'm a single mom of a almost 4-year-old. And like my why is I want to create a home for the two of us, and just getting bigger and broader of like, what is it that you're looking for? What goals are you trying to hit? And even if you have to have small ones, like if people, like he's just said, like new stylists coming in and maybe they're not even close to hitting that amount of money, but that they know, one, they know it's possible, but then you have those baby steps where you just start creating a culture where they're looking deeper into like, why am I working? What am I trying to accomplish? Like, where do I want to be in 5 years or in a year? And break down into those goals, and you start just having that kind of conversation to lead into the bigger conversation. Then once it starts getting more possible, and like we have a saying in High Performance Salon Academy where it's celebrate all wins, and big or small. And when you get in that mindset of celebrating the little things, like, you went up, your RTS went up 1%, or you went up 0.5%. Like, it's just, it's huge. It's big. It really starts to snowball when you celebrate those little things and be like, yeah, well, it was 1%, but they got 3%, or whatever it is, it raises up. Being able to celebrate your own personal success and not in the way that you compare it to other people's success is huge. I love that. So what's your favorite thing about your salon culture? Like, overall, like what really has, like, I mean, you said earlier culture has been the biggest thing, but what has been the biggest, like, the structure of the way your salon is run? What do you love about it?
Honestly, like, treat each other like we're like a family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really fun to just be able to walk into work, and yes, we're doing hair. Yes, we're, taking on different, like, tasks as leadership and everything like that. But we have a lot of fun. Everything's very, like, lighthearted. Like, we just really enjoy being in each other's company. And again, that ties back into culture, but we all, like, we truly love each other.
Yeah.
And I think by having that, and I mean, we have so many of our guests say, like, "Oh my gosh, you guys look like you have so much fun here." And we can actually say, "Yes, we do." Like, this
Mm-hmm.
isn't it's real. Like, what you see here this is how we are, whether we're in the salon or out.
Yeah.
So it's
You created a place where you feel like you belong.
mhm,
That's huge. Because I love that too. Because, like, you, even before you turn 18, but you become an adult. I think about this all the time. I mean, again, I have a 4-year-old kid, and you become an adult, and it's all about, like, I got to get a job. Like, I remember growing up, like, got to go to college, got to get a job, got to get married. Like, I grew up very, very structured like that. And there's always, like, these big milestones, and, like, yeah, I got to work to make a living. And it can get really daunting. It can get really, like, hard to think about life in that, like, oh man, all you do is go to work every day, and you come home and you're exhausted, and just you can get very negative about it because you have to in order to function. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but in order to function and have, like, a good life. But when you can create an environment, like if you own your business and you can create an environment where your people are thriving and they feel like they belong, like you were saying, Blanca, they feels like a family, and that can look like different things. You can be like, oh, I don't want to feel like a family. I want the people to get their job done. And to a degree, I hear what people say in that, but at the same time, when you create a place where people belong and people feel like the culture is where everyone can connect and feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves, you'll create a place for them, and then they'll get passionate and they'll work harder and they'll connect more, and they'll just be better overall better people because they're connecting with themselves, they're connecting with each other, they're growing and learning from each other. And it honestly probably, like, helps with limiting drama and limiting that when people have that culture of, like, oh no, we all are a family here. And so then it, like, limits, like, the people, and it probably makes the people who come in who are not a good fit for your culture, makes them probably stand out pretty greatly. um that's huge. I love that. I love that about your salon. Talk to me a little bit. I want to touch a little bit on hiring and what that kind of looks like in your salon. So when you guys are hiring, because I know you lead the people, do you do the hiring, or do people kind of come in? Do you train? What does that look like?
so as far as hiring goes, like, our leadership team, we all facilitate interviews. Yes, we can teach you how to do hair, but, like, we can teach you how to do hair. We can't always teach you how to be a good person.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so
It's huge.
that's one of the biggest things, is how are they going to fit into our culture? And like you said, as long as we stay um, as long as we stay true to that, if someone's not the right fit, like, it's going to stand out
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And so, it makes it easy to um, either, have that conversation of, like, this is our culture and this is how we
Mhm.
operate. If you're willing to operate like that with us and you want to stick around, cool. If not, maybe we're not the best fit for you.
Yeah.
So we're all part of the hiring process. The way we typically do it is we have two leadership team members to an interview. If they're, they like them, we all trust each other's judgment on
Mhm.
that,
Yeah, it's huge.
judgment call on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So if they're for it, then let's go ahead and hire them. Some there Every once in a while we'll have someone that we're like, I think so, but I'm not really sure. So we'll have that person come in and do, like, a shadow for a couple of hours just to kind of get them to interact with multiple team members, just to see how do they operate when they're like here on the floor with us and observing things like that. And then we're able to make that decision based off of that, because interviewing is not everybody's strong suit. And so we want to see how they are outside of that. But then outside of hiring, I do also help train associates as well. So, getting them, the ones that they're already licensed by the time they come in. So just training them not only in their craft, but also, how to build a clientele. And like my current associate that I have, I told her from the get-go, like, my goal is to make you better. My goal is to make you better than what I was when I first started.
Wow, that's huge.
Because then she can get a lot further, a lot faster.
Yeah. Which is a great model of mentorship. And it's like the whole point of, like training to be better than I was when I first started, which is huge. I love that. Thank you so much, Blanca, for hanging out with me today. I've learned so much about you and about this. And I hope that if you're listening, that you got some value out of hearing through the eyes of a stylist, or hopefully one of your own, to be able to picture what it could look like for you if you don't have a leadership team, or just what your team, what people on your staff could be doing for you, and how in some ways they can be doing it because they have that different perspective and they're on the floor with the rest of your team. They have just a different angle at it. And so I hope that's what you heard in today. And Blanca, I want to ask you one last question. What is a goal of yours personally that you would like to see yourself in the next 1 to 5 years?
One of my goals within my company is to sharehold there and, hopefully help them open multiple locations. I have building a house on there too. So I'd say those are probably 2 pretty big ones that I've got on my radar.
I love that. I asked you because I wanted people to see, it's like having more, like we talked about, having things that you're striving for, and then goals you want to reach, and like personal goals, professional goals. And so I love that. So thanks, Blanca, for hanging out. This is a lot of fun. And I hope you got something listening with us today. Be sure to catch our next episode. We drop an episode currently every Wednesday morning. But you've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye.
You've been listening to the Profitable Salon Owner Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a review, and check us out at profitablesalon.com for more episodes, content, and to help you turn your salon into the business you've always dreamt of.